Despite Africa's growth potential, its transport infrastructure is sorely lacking. Earlier on, we spoke to Kayode Khalidson, who is the transport coordinator in the Nigerian Infrastructure Advisory Facility, about the situation around transportation investments in Nigeria.
Well, I think it's important to realize that the implementation of the 2004 needs strategy document was plagued by bad planning and coordination. I think that what this administration has done, led by the former president Yar'Adua and carried over by President Goodluck Jonathan, was to come up with a national implementation plan as part of the first phase of the Vision 2020 document, which really sets out priority projects for Nigeria going forward. Now, these priority projects are going to be better coordinated and planned by the National Planning Commission, backed by Ministry of Finance and also the Budget Office, to ensure that priority projects are actually linked to budget. So rather than have a wish list like we had in 2004, we've actually carried out some preliminary feasibility projects to really determine priority projects going forward. However, to answer your question directly, we have actually achieved some expansion of our transport infrastructure. In 2009 and 2010, we commenced our rehabilitation of the railway infrastructure. We've actually completed the concessioning of the ports, and we've expanded the Abuja-Lokoja roads and done some substantial upgrade to other roads, such as the Ilorin-Igbomoso road. So there has been some, even though not coordinated investment in infrastructure, but continued investment in the transport infrastructure.
All right, now simply put, most roads in Nigeria are regarded as in bad shape and in serious and dire need of improved maintenance. And we talk about roads because within the transport mix, apparently 90% of goods and passenger transportation needs utilize the road system. What's being done in terms of really applying some maintenance standards and commitment to improving the road infrastructure in Nigeria?
Well, it's very important to realize that the road infrastructure in Nigeria is really divided between the federal, state and local government roads. And out of that, the federal government accounts for just over 30,000 kilometers of the road, state government about 34,000, and then the local government about 176,000 kilometers of the roads. So focusing on the federal government roads, I think we've also started a program within the Vision 2020 program to come up with a phased investment in our roads to try and recover at least 30% of the federal roads that are in bad condition. 70% of these roads are actually in deplorable condition. So over the next 5 years, we would see substantial investment in the upgrade and maintenance of roads. On the state level, certain states have actually embarked on huge rehabilitation and upgrade programs, but I focus mainly on the federal side and really also trying to focus on the federal improvement on roads in the rural infrastructure.
All right, now in terms of private sector involvement, talk to us about the system of concessioning roads, because it's reported that, especially in the urban areas, the investment has been private sector investment, and to a large extent the ownership is private sector, even if the roads are under the stewardship of the federal government.
Well, again, I think there's a slight correction there. Under the concession program, you find out that the government, either federal or state government, actually retain ownership of the roads. But what we do is that we plan to, or we have actually concessioned out roads on 25, 30-year concessions. Now then, under that particular arrangement, the private sector is responsible for the upgrade and the maintenance of these roads and transfer the roads back to the federal government or state government, as the case may be, at the end of the concession period. So in terms of ownership isn't an issue. But the key thing is, at least during that concession period, the private sector is responsible for the upgrade and maintenance of these roads.
There is a need to really develop the backbone of the rail infrastructure in the country to support the industrial drive.
What we've been trying to develop over the last 2 or 3 years is really what we're classifying as an integrated multimodal transport sector, with rail really being at the center of that strategy. We're actually looking at seamless movement of passenger and goods from port to ship, to the newly concessioned inland container depots. Now then, the rail, as we know, play a critical part of that infrastructure. They've been in a dilapidated condition with a lack of investment and lack of funding over the last 30 years. So what we're looking at is a gradual rehabilitation of the roads, of the railways over a 5-year period, and coupled with a concessioning of the railways to the private sector. We strongly believe that the private sector is best placed to actually provide the services and enhance the services. But however, since we have a backlog of infrastructure maintenance, the government has accepted the responsibility to focus on the rehabilitation and upgrade of the existing narrow gauge network. In addition, the government is thinking of expanding rail lines from the east to west corridor. That's from Lagos all the way down to Calabar on a standard gauge. Again, to use the railways as a pivotal point in the expansion of the transport infrastructure. There've also been a couple of uncompleted rail projects that are actually completed in 1992. Again, this administration is keen to complete those particular projects. So yes, railways is the center of the revitalization of the transport sector.